right. Next up, please help me welcome Andres Alvarez, Cindy Rodriguez, Garen Morgan, and Mark Maudsley with their Clean Energy Communication Platform.
I'm Garen.
Hi, I'm Andres.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Cindy.
ETCH, Energy Technology Communications Hub, enabling innovation, nuclear for the future. Late 2015, France, Paris. There was a summit of people from all around the world, countries everywhere, to discuss the future for the world. Now, this future involves clean energy and reducing carbon emissions. Now, in order to bring this to fruition, nuclear has to be part of this. Now, what's the problem now? What's the issue? It's bureaucracy, and not what you know, but who you know. Have you ever been to, Angie's List or something, looking for a plumber or an electrician to try to solve some sort of issue with, your plumbing or your electricity? And it's hard to find them. You gotta look around, gotta find someone who's cost effective, who's reliable, and who's also can finish on time. Well, imagine this in the nuclear industry. Imagine you have some sort of simulation job where you get to go from here to here to here to here to find somebody who can solve your simulation, like something complicated, like a nuclear reactor core. That can be difficult. You might know some people, but when you're a small startup, this may be more difficult. So finding these people can prove arduous, but that's where we come in. We're ETCH, enabling a future for nuclear innovation collaboration.
All right, so what really is ETCH? So ETCH is a secure online platform for people to connect from the nuclear industry in order to connect innovators from today and tomorrow with the resources and expertise they need. So just a quick, go on to the next slide, just a quick discussion on what it really is. So what we want to do is we want to connect industry partners, freelancers, consultants, academic institutions, and national labs under one social platform so that it's easy for us to get a customer and bring them directly to the people they need. So we want to basically enhance communication. So just to give you a quick example, I want to give you a little narrative here, right? A little narrative of Joe Schmo and Dr. Jill. All right, Dr. Jill, she has a startup. She has a nuclear startup, and she needs a neutronics modeling job. And she's like, oh, how am I going to get someone to give me that job? So she goes to ETCH. She puts it under the simulation tab and puts a little recent posting saying simulation job. And what exactly is like the details of that? She puts in the job description, asks if it's non-proprietary, if you can actually publish this work you're doing, or if you can, or you need a non-disclosure agreement. That way you filter out people who maybe not want to work under those conditions. And Joe Schmo over here, he's a nuclear engineering pro. He has an impressive nuclear engineering bio right here, and he's worked on previous projects in the past. He has 4 stars because maybe he was late on a deadline or something, but not the point. Joe Schmo says, hey, I think I can help you here. And Joe Schmo comments, hi Joe, I want to help you, let's talk about it. And now Dr. Jill can actually go on Joe Schmo's profile, see his credentials, and see if she wants to work with him. Our idea is self-regulation within the online community, so people actually comment on how well people actually do jobs. That way you ensure quality every time. So how do we make money here, right? You're asking right now. So one thing we do is we target ads. We have targeted ads, which means that we bring in people who generally sell products to the nuclear industry, so people who sell instrumentation or software, and they would put their advertisements here. But that's not our only source of revenue. Our only source of revenue, other source of revenue would be through subscriptions. Subscriptions where we would actually do a tiered system, so we allow access to everyone. We want to make sure we have PhD students here who don't necessarily have a lot of money. We also want to make sure we have big companies here so they can bring in the expertise they need. So what are our profits? First stage, none, really. Because during the first stage, what we want to do is we actually want to create more market research. We actually want to go talk to companies, create partnerships, and establish these connections with initiatives such as GAIN and all these other industries, just so we can make sure we have a pretty credible online platform. But after the first promotional period of 3 months, we plan on actually charging for the subscription after people are online. And we expect to make around $35,000 the first year. But upon the second year, where we expand our market a lot larger, we expect to be making around $200,000 next year on this communication platform. So now you're probably asking, why us? What makes us different, right? Well, why Mark? Why Cindy? Why Garen? Why me right now? We're students. We're dedicating our lives to clean energy right now, and we have a passion for making sure that nuclear innovation happens. What we want to do is we want to bring a contemporary approach to the nuclear industry for communication in order to solve an old problem of who knows who and the bureaucracy. And so what do you want? What do we want from you, basically? What we want is $30,000 for the first stage after we do the exploratory stage where we show you that there is interest in the nuclear industry to do this and they want to actually have more communications. And what we really want, besides 30,000, is really your advice in order to help us get a good advisory board and create those established connections to really help innovation in the nuclear industry happen.
ETCH, we're harmonizing great resources by bringing millennial thinking to the industry.
One platform, a secure network. We connect established markets and we enhance innovation for new entries.
And with the few seconds that we have left, we'd like to thank our mentors, our spot mentors, everybody who helped us with initial market research data by filling out our survey, and of course the wonderful organizers of this boot camp. So thank you. We'll open it up for questions.
And we're happy to take questions.
Great presentation, guys. So at the end, you said a secure network. How do you make sure that Dr. Evil doesn't use this to build, find an expert to help him build a nuclear weapon to blow up the moon?
Quite.
Or some other related problem?
Indeed. There's two avenues that we've used to answer this problem. The first is why we've asked for some money. We want to build a secure website. That doesn't come at a small cost. And we've spoke to people that we know who've made these websites, and we've been very, very conservative in what we think that's going to cost. But secondly, we rely on the fact that we're charging people to even join the network, to join to even join to start with, so that you can't have someone who is unfamiliar with it joining. There'll further be an interview process, a recruitment process, to ensure that the people who are joining, whether that be at a single academic or a large company, that they're reputable. And that's something that we would need. This is why we need your advice. We'd need a process for that to ensure that we're doing that through the proper gates.
So that, or one additional question. So that doesn't sound like Angie's List. Have you found any other networks that are similar to what you're trying to build here for technical communities?
So the one people usually bring up is LinkedIn, right? You have a professional community where you can kind of talk about people, just talk with other professionals. But one thing about LinkedIn is you really don't want to discuss these kind of projects on LinkedIn, right? You're not going to go into one of those nuclear community social groups and just randomly ask about a project like in such a detail as this. And what we want to do is we want to provide a secure platform for people to actually have this discussion and actually create these collaborations in a more focused manner. And by focus, I mean, if you remember back in our slides, we had a tab where it said simulations, had operations, had materials. That's because we want to have focus. One of the comments we got from our market research from industry experts is that in these nuclear groups in LinkedIn, it's very scattered ideas. There's no real focus. And what we want to do is focus innovation.
So have you thought about export control requirements when it comes to exchanging information?
Yeah, that's something that in our first iteration of this process, we actually thought that we'd facilitate the simulations ourselves. However, when we spoke to national labs, and we spoke to a number of national labs, one of the things that they said to us was that you're going to come across that problem. So the way that we worked around that problem was that we're not going to actually facilitate the simulation or the jobs ourselves. It's a hotel lobby, if you like. So then it goes back to their usual processes. So for example, if the academic was going through a national lab to gain their access to their software, then it comes into the safeguards procedure from the national lab, and it's the same if it were another company. So we've sidestepped that issue by leaving it to the people who know how to do that safely.
So,
If I may just add one more thing, we're also investing in a great lawyer.
So my question is really what makes you special, but this sort of reminds me of, it's got the professionalism of LinkedIn and the confidentiality of eHarmony. But why you and why now, and what makes you different?
That's not the first time we heard that analogy, actually. that's why we laughed. But yeah, the important thing here is that there are some groups which it was actually encouraging for us. So GAIN initiatives, and we saw a talk yesterday from the Idaho Lab, and they're trying to pull together similar projects. So for example, there was a really good initiative where the Idaho Lab are trying to pull together a database of available software and services. And that required a lot of specialist knowledge. So what we think that makes us unique is that we're at the right place at the right time, so that these initiatives that are trying to do something similar could, I mean, our competition isn't in this room. Our competition is accessing, trying to exploit the gas and coal reserves in other places. So if we can collaborate with GAIN and other initiatives, it could work.
Thank you, guys.